Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here at my next Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode review. This one's going to be for Season 4, Episode 13, The Ever-Burning Fire. This is basically our mid-season finale, 13 out of 26 episodes, and it was good. I don't think it was like amazing. I think we've had better mid-season finales before. It just because of the way the space arc has been done, it just felt like another episode of that rather than being like the full on end. Of course, the way the episode does end means we've basically caught up with the big event leading into like the destruction of Earth and the implications that this only happened. The only reason Earth is being targeted and was targeted in the first place was because the turtles were always went back in time, and that's why the Triceratons came to Earth in the first place. That's why the planet was blown up. That's why they went back in time and time travel craziness, basically. Um, Other than that, the episode was. I think that the main thing I really liked about the episode was Toka and what they did with the baby Toka, which they called Chomper Picasso. I think Raphael called him. I guess Chomper's the name, and he's still with them. That's new and interesting. In that, like, there are definitely like we're coming up to, I suppose, effectively the repeat of the Triceraton attack on Earth. But obviously the turtles are the different factor than before in that they are now aware of the events leading up to that, know a little bit more, have all this technology, have all these, I suppose, new people they've met along the way. Things have changed slightly since, I suppose, the last timeline, so things can change. Now, the reason I like the idea of Toka so much was because it's a kind of lore thing, I think. That they talked about these kind of three cosmic beings in like a previous episode during the space arc. Now they've talked about these six, legendary cosmic monsters. A cool idea. The problem is that they just kind of throw that out there and leave it. That, like, oh yeah, we're just arriving on this planet where this legendary cosmic monster lives. Whereas that would have been a really cool thing to get mentioned much earlier on in the season, and maybe meet a few of them and just have them really show how powerful they are, why they're called like cosmic legendary monsters. Um, but the reveal of Toka I thought was very impressive. I knew something relatively big was coming just because we got introduced to the baby first, the little turtle thing. It's just like, okay, cool, little rock turtle thing, got spikes on its back, kind of going for that kind of magma turtle type look. And I was expecting, like, okay, there's going to be a bigger mother around here who's probably going to be this legendary monster they're talking about. I wasn't expecting it to be that big. I think just because of the size of the egg, it makes, wow, you laid a very small egg here. The other thing though is I wasn't expecting it to be basically the mountain range where the piece of the black hole generator was. So when that just piece of land just starts moving and it stands up and it's huge, I thought that was a very impressive reveal that they did a good job on. In that I was expecting something big, but not that big, and that really I think worked. And the fights were interesting because of that. This Toka was so powerful with the kind of fire magma breath, the general size. The Triceratons couldn't do that much to it. Then the reveal that she could fly, I thought very, very impressive stuff. And I suppose what they're potentially going for is that during the second half of the season they'll have Toka with them, and I don't think Toka's dead. I think Toka will come to Earth and potentially help the turtles because the turtles will have looked after Chomper, and maybe they'll have Chomper do something like he'll learn how to do the fire attack initially and help them. Maybe he'll grow a little bit and be able to help. But primarily, I'm thinking that Toka will come back as more of a kind of trusting ally of the turtles. That she's seen how well they've looked after her baby, or something like that. I don't think that's in any way the end of such a kind of powerful kind of monster type character. Um, Other than that, though, I thought the whole kind of drag slash Triceratons fighting over the black hole generator and the general fight stuff, it was a little bland in that, okay, of course he's going to be there, the Triceratons are also there, they're going to be fighting to outdo each other, but they're making deals with each other. None of them are going to fulfill these deals. So when Dreg hands over the piece of the black hole generator, of course, the Triceratons betrayed him. Don't give him his money and try to kill him. I don't think Dreg is dead, because that's a very weak ending for a character to not confirm his death like that. And because he's been defeated so many times and seems to be like part robot from what they mentioned last episode, and that was never talked about here, I don't know what they're doing. But I think Dreg will return. Um, and I think the interaction of a lot of these space characters with the characters on Earth could be fun if that's the way they go about doing things. Like the Triceratons, a lot of the alien species, Dreg, all on Earth, with the Fugitoid as well in there, could add a extra factor to that. I think there's still a lot more to come out of the Fugitoid. I think there has to be some sort of an explanation beyond just like time travel stuff for why he knew to pick up the turtles, and what he may have some slight ulterior motive. I don't think he's a villain or anything like that, but there's I think there's going to be something with the Fugitoid that we don't know about now that's going to change our opinion on him, apart from just the nice scientist guy that's helping the turtles out. Um, yeah, the main takeaway from this episode is definitely that, like, okay, cool action, the Triceratons get all the pieces, and it's definitely hinting at this whole idea that, like I said before, because of crazy time travel stuff, the turtles going back in time in the first place to potentially stop Earth from being destroyed is what is basically allowing Earth to be destroyed in the first place. The difference, though, is that that may have been destined to happen. That's why the Triceratons came to Earth. But the turtles that do go back in time are aware of what happened and can change things, because what they're doing now is different and they're aware of it. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's effectively that a lot of the main gists of the points that happened were always meant to happen. The Triceratons did find out about Earth, and the reason they hate Earth and were targeting it to be destroyed was because the Triceratons hate the turtles because of basically forming the black hole generators. They were the biggest thorn in the Triceratons' sides. The difference, though, is that initially, back in like the end of season 3, what happened was that the turtles were unaware of the Triceratons coming and just had to react and weren't powerful enough. Now they're aware of a lot of stuff going on. They're in space, they have technology, they have the support of the Fugitoid, plus other things because of their experiences in space, and maybe now they can deal a lot better with things, and they can now do kind of that time travel thing of actively trying to avoid the exact same events that just happened. Um, how exactly they go about doing the time travel stuff and explaining it now that they've caught up to basically that timeline, I'm not exactly sure. In the sense of, are the turtles just not on Earth anymore, or I suppose what I'm trying to say here is, like, are there two versions of the turtles? There's present day turtles who, because the old turtles went back in time, there are still turtles on Earth doing the exact same thing that happened, basically what we saw happen in the lead up to season 3, all that stuff happening. And the turtles that we've been following in space are like the original versions. And when they arrive back, there will be like 8 turtles, but they're all the same people fundamentally. There's a lot of time travel confusion stuff that they're going to need to get into. I don't think they'll do it in any sort of depth. I think they'll ultimately get down to a fairly simple explanation, but I think there's a lot of kind of confusing stuff happening in that before the Triceraton invasion. Let's not forget that there was a lot of stuff happening with the turtles, like, normally. So are, like, they just absent now, and like the Krang still have control of Earth, or what? Um, but yeah, a lot of questions going into next episode, which is interesting and exciting, and I think ultimately the show moving back to Earth is something it's needed to do for a while now. The space like experiment was cool, but it really didn't work in terms of advancing characters, plot. Now that we're going back to Earth, I think it's definitely going to be a thing. We'll get to see Splinter again, Karai, get the better villains back in Shredder and so on. I just hope they can resolve all of this in the second half of the season effectively. But yeah, in the comments let me know what your thoughts were on the episode and the review. Other than that, thanks for watching, and bye.